You're listening to The Real Deal Conversations, a podcast designed to encourage, inspire, and equip you by sharing real stories and meaningful conversations that bring real life to the surface. I'm your host, Megan Deal. Let's dive in. We are with Lyle and Alesia. This is actually a two-part from the last episode, and it's really, it's wild. Lyle was cooking meth with his dad at 5 years old. Alesia was, her parents just gave her drugs. And so go back and listen to it, and then you'll have full context. However, today, I want to talk to them about what life is like after addiction, graduating from finding the family. And really, I want to focus on boundaries. Not just boundaries, but also what dying to the flesh looks like, because there's still the desires to go back. I mean, anybody who goes through habits, especially the habits that were formed for decades, 2 decades for you guys, those habits don't just die right away. Sometimes they creep up and you have to die to your flesh in order not to go back. So I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to start with Alesia, because your mom lived with you guys for a little bit. How long did
9 months.
Yeah, and it was after you graduated and after you got clean. And
so she literally showed up at my doorsteps. Bags packed, dumped her off at my house. My aunt dumped her off.
Wow.
And after we had already said, no, nobody can live with us. Nobody, absolutely not. We are building our family right now, and we don't have room to have any slack at all in our life. But she just showed up and never left. 9 months later,
Wow.
She was there. But I'll tell you, that was the hardest time on our marriage.
I bet.
It was because, he's trying to protect his family. And here I am, like, what do I do? I can't just kick her out and put her on the streets. But,
You're not just rebuilding your family, and you're not just trying to be the head of the house. You're also trying to keep the habits that you've just learned. It's all fresh.
Oh yeah, the kids even had all their everything, and it's not like she did it intentionally,
right?
But it was like our whole life just went.
Yeah,
right?
Everything you just
upside
learned,
down,
all the peace that you just gained,
everything, all of our peace went out the window real fast. I quit going to church as often because. He wanted to just be he and I and the kids, and I wanted her to come with, and experience our beautiful church. But I'll have to be honest, she was a little bit embarrassing. So I was like, oh, you can stay at home.
I feel like there's boundaries,
Yeah.
And I think what you set boundaries, the boundaries were not respected.
No, like Lyle would be disciplining. Like we would have like set rules for the kids, and she would just go above and beyond that. Like
after you had just learned, and this is, I really want to hit home on this. Why is this so significant when they're saying this? Because you can be like, well, we set rules and okay, hold on. So Lyle and Alesia have like a couple decades of addiction, strong rooted addiction because it's generational. And they went through this ministry for a year where they learned how to be a family, how to parent, how to navigate everything we're talking about. And then they come out of that year. First of all, we all know that a year, that's great. You learned a lot of great things. But after decades of those habits, 1 year...
They're so easy to pick back up if you're not careful.
1 year is still not long enough to have you have to practice it. So for all this to happen so fast when you still needed more time to practice those roots, this is big.
Well, one of the things that Deborah and Chris would tell us is because they'd had it happen to other families.
And Deborah and Chris, they are the founders of Finding the Family. Just when you hear the name Deb and Chris, that is who we're referring to.
So well, we didn't have contact with anybody in our family for a good 6 months at least, just because he and I were not ready. It's not because they said no. It's because he and I weren't ready to even open up that can of worms anyways.
Yeah, but I feel like that's a really big strength for you guys to do that. To cut that.
Oh,
because
it's very hard.
Yeah.
Very, very hard, especially when one day we're there and the next day we're gone. Everybody's like, did they die?
Yeah.
Did they fall to face? Like, what happened?
Yeah.
But they would teach us and they would tell us. I mean, I can't even tell you the amount of times that they told us, do not let your family move in with you. What's going to happen is they're going to say, oh, they're good. Alesia and Lyle, they have a house. They've got money. They've got a car. We don't have money, but anyways, we have a car. They have a.
I mean, comparatively to them,
exactly. And we would just brush it off. We would be like, no, we don't have. No, none of our family is going to come stay with us.
And is your mom in addiction?
No,
she's not.
No, but she chain smokes and
just bad choices. It just wasn't a good thing.
Well, and not only that, but there was a lot of old wounds that were not healed yet, that Lyle was pretty much being slapped in the face with. And so he had a hard time with that. Like, for instance, there'd be many times that Lyle and I'd be living in our car, and my mom would be like, nope, you guys are on your own. Nope, I don't want you guys here. You guys make a mess. Or, oh, you guys are loud. Or, oh, you guys. And so we would end up literally sleeping in the car, or shelters. I lived in a shelter for a couple months because we didn't have nowhere to go. And so here's Lyle, he didn't really have a say because she just showed up,
which is hard.
Which I think that's part of my flesh coming up.
Yeah.
Is she didn't help us, so I'm not going to help her.
Yeah.
And not being like Christ, and not which I had to have God show me a lot of things through that time. How to have grace with somebody, patience and stuff, and
she's got dementia as well. And so it was just all a big mess.
So the boundaries for all that. So that's kind of like the setup of what you're dealing with after coming out, and you're ready to live this new life. You're ready. You have just learned what it is like to lead the home.
Yeah.
And so you're trying to lead the home in the way that you just learned, which is already new to you.
Yeah.
And so when it's already new, you're navigating it still. And then to have this come up, and now you're navigating, how do I lead my home, but how do I do this? And this is all super fresh to me. And I don't like, what does that boundary look like? So what did
it's all trying to please my wife, at the same time of not trying to disrupt the kids' schedules and all this. But it was super hard. Eventually I had to put my foot down and say, hey, my kids are doing this and I need you to respect it. I had to have many talks with her about it.
So what does that, okay. And the reason I'm about to ask is because people who are coming out of addiction and they're in the stage that you guys were in, what does putting your foot down look like now that you're a follower of Christ? Because being a follower of Christ doesn't mean that we are a doormat. It doesn't mean we love people and become a doormat. It means that we still have, even Christ was firm. So, we still have to put the boundaries
And he had righteous anger too.
So what does putting those boundaries look like now? And how can you explain to them how to put those boundaries down when somebody who is disruptive is coming in?
Well, and another one too is my brother, who is in active addiction as we speak. Mm-hmm. And when he came down from Minnesota 2 months ago, and he just hopped on in like, hello, sister. Yeah. Hey, can I have $20? Hey, can I have $20? And so I was, cash apping him $20 here. I was, and my husband was like, you are not enabling him. And so then I was like, I told him, I said, look, we do not. He actually came to my work the other day and he asked me to pawn stuff for him.
Wow.
And I said, well, Randy, I don't live that life anymore. He's like, well, I bought it. And I was like, I don't care if you bought it. Like, I don't care if I watched you buy it. We do not live that life no more. And I would love for you to live like that.
I'm really proud of both of you because you put your foot down.
Mm-hmm. And if he wouldn't have, I still probably would have.
Yeah. And you put your foot down. You did what you needed to do. You didn't back down. And so that's for you. That is incredible. And for you to say, my husband, who is the head of the house, my husband, and you and supported, which is huge because that's not habits that you guys had. No. That's not understanding that you guys had.
I would literally bat an eyelash. And my husband would be like, what do you want? Anything you want. Yeah. Even if it meant just tearing things apart. Yeah. He'd be like, okay, what do you need? Yeah. And so it was a learning process for me too.
But I'm really proud of you guys.
Sometimes you have to learn to say no, even if it's a hard no for her.
Yeah.
I have to, even if it's hard for me, I have to say no sometimes. And it's really hard, difficult sometimes, but if not, then we're just going to run wild.
Right.
You have to stand
And so
on that.
that's a very strong thing in you to, for so long, not being that way, and to now be that way. And to, even though sometimes it's hard, you do it, and then you see the fruits of that.
Yeah.
And so, so the boundaries that we're talking about with, okay, so you're leading your home, you're navigating that newness. What is it like when you have to put the boundaries down for somebody who is disrupting, a family member who is disrupting? Because I know that there's other people in addiction like you guys who have generational disruptions.
Just a cycle.
Yeah. And so what as the head of the house, what do you do? Like, what is that boundary?
So that boundary is anything that they bring into your house, like cigarettes and all this and that we don't do, you have to just sit there and talk to them. Like her mom smoked. So I was like, you're not smoking around the kids. You're not smoking in the house. You have to walk down the street if you're going to smoke, just because I don't want my kids seeing that. And I don't want that temptation in my life. So if it's anywhere hindering my peace and, in the plan that God has for me, I don't want anything to do with it. And I think just praying about stuff before you bring it to that person helps out a lot. Just pray about it, and then God will give you the words to say to them, like, hey, and not like a mad, yelling at them, stomping your foot mad.
Now, let me tell you, he did get mad several times because she was very disrespectful.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Very
So what do you do when they don't honor what you're still saying? So as the person who is needing to lead his home and his family, what do you do when you do approach them and they're just like, okay, you can go kick rocks, you know?
So I don't know, the Lord really got a hold of me and was like, if treat others how you want to be treated. So, I just had to have grace and keep reminding myself that she's got dementia. She forgets things. She's going through a hard time. She's homeless right now, and there's nowhere other option for her. Mm-hmm. So, but with that, I have to set that boundary of letting her live.
If this is happening, which we actively were looking for her to go somewhere. But when we did find her a place to live, my husband was amazing and helped move her in. And but he said, listen, babe, she loses her house. You are not helping her. You are not going out of your way. And sure enough, she lost it.
Yeah.
Just like 2 weeks ago.
Wow. So
because my brother came down and moved in with her and was not supposed to be there. And so she got evicted. So now she's homeless once again. And
so did you guys just set the boundary?
Not to my house. She ain't coming.
No,
And did she try?
Yeah, she did.
Okay, so then what was your boundary? So, because we really want people to take the tools away to know how to have these conversations coming out of addiction.
You just have to do it. And it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Whenever you are doing anything to grow in your strength in the Lord, to die to your flesh, it is uncomfortable. It is never going to be, oh, I love that feeling. I want to do that again, until it becomes a pattern. And then you're like, oh, this feels so much better. And then you're going to keep doing it.
Well, so did she call you or come to your door in the last couple of weeks?
No.
No,
she knew.
Now,
I told her. I said, if I were you, I wouldn't even ask Lyle.
So if she does call or come, what would you say to set that boundary?
I would just say, I'm sorry, but you had your chance.
Yeah.
We helped you as much as we could. We got you in this place. And at some point, you have to take responsibility for what you're doing. And we had to take responsibility. We had to grow from that.
Yeah.
So, just kindly tell them. Yeah. You have to look out for yourself sometimes. And in order to better yourself, you have to better yourself.
I agree. And I think because a lot of times people confuse boundaries with being unloving.
Yeah.
And then they think, and then it's like a mind game. And so then you get back in the entrapment because you're like, well, I don't want to be unloving. I want to be godlike. I want to be Christ-like.
Doing it. Well, I have to look out for my family.
Yeah.
They come first.
No, exactly.
Before anybody, God comes first. But before anybody else, my kids and my wife come before that.
Yeah, 100%.
So if anything is challenging that, I don't want it.
Yeah.
I want nothing to do with it anymore.
And that I would feel like is being in love with Christ-like love. Because once again, God is a gentle God, but there's also some firmness.
Well, we live so long in addiction and all that chaos that once you find peace in God, you don't want anything else.
So another thing that Lyle and I, because we're still so new it's only been 2.5 years
Since you graduated?
since we graduated, right? Lyle and I, we don't venture very far out from each other. Like, in the sense of, I don't have a best friend that I go and hang out with all day long, and he doesn't have a best friend that he goes, because we're still learning how to have those boundaries with each other. And maybe in the future we'll find that best friend and, and be able to have girl time or whatever, or go fishing with his friends. But we just know the enemy is working so hard in our life, and he is trying to disrupt our calling. And so we don't stray very far from each other, from God, from the church. And we like it that way right now.
Yeah, because I think if we were to separate as fresh as we are, go hang out with friends, it's so much easier to get habit going of going out and separating each other and then
not having that
wanting to go all the
dishonesty.
time.
And
No, I think that's so good. I just really appreciate you guys saying that, because, like I said, one of the goals for this episode is for people not to just hear what your life is like now, but it's really, I want to use this episode as people who are fresh into an addiction-free life. I really want them to learn from you guys. I really want them to learn, okay, because you guys had Deb and Chris in Finding the Family to help prep you guys for this.
Oh, they get 100 calls a day from us.
Yeah. And a lot of people coming out of addiction, they've come out of a program or something, and now they're just like on their own to survive. And so I really want to use this episode to give people tools, active tools that you have. Like, how do we have those conversations when they kick back? How do we not enable? I
just don't think you need to listen to the enemy's voice, because he's always going to tell you, when you go to ask for help, you don't need to ask for help. It's embarrassing. It's this, it's that. And you just need to listen to God's voice and say, you need help right now.
Yeah.
You need this.
Like you said, we have Deborah and Chris as our mentors and as a mom and dad to us. And if you do not have that person in your life, whether you're a single woman or a single man, they need to find that person in their, and like a mentor or something, because that will
someone with more wisdom than you.
Yes,
But how would you encourage people to do that? Because that's kind of a scary thing to do.
Well, I grew up in NA. My mom and dad, or my mom's dad, but they in and out of NA. I grew up in it, and so when my mom was, going through the roller coaster ride of staying clean, using staying clean, she always had a sponsor, and she always had an NA group of people that she's even active in today. And and she's clean, but she still is actively in her NA, and she's got friendships that she's had been friends with for 15 years through NA. And so if you don't have that, or life groups, even if we want to stay through, like faith-based, go to life groups, go to your church.
Well, I think life groups, I do agree.
They have to be proactive in the way that you're, can't sit back and let the enemy.
You got to be
eat
careful,
you.
though, on who you choose.
Absolutely.
Because some people will just tell you what you want to hear, and some people give you the raw, hey, you're messing up here. You need to fix this. And those are the people you need in your life.
And then, okay, so for women, it's a little, well, I guess I'm not going to speak for all women, but most women, it's a lot easier to reach out for help and find somebody as like a person over them. For men, there's a lot, okay, once again, maybe I'm not going to umbrella this, but for men, there's like a big pride thing. Like, I don't need anyone over me.
That's how he was.
I don't need no help.
That's exactly how he was.
Yeah. So Lyle, what would you say to somebody as a male who didn't just have Deb and Chris, and they need to seek somebody who can just be their guide? What would you say to them?
He didn't want Chris at first. Oh. It was not until later on.
So what did that look like for you?
I just figured out that I did have a lot of pride issues, and that I was dealing with a lot of stuff, like internally, and I needed somebody to talk to, but it's hard for me to open up just because I'm a guy and you're supposed to hold all those feelings and be tough. So I just had to one day just finally give it to God and be like, I don't know what to do. And then God just opened it up and was like, you can be kind, you can talk about your feelings, and you can, share things and get wisdom back, and it'd be okay. And
so what does that look like for you? Like with Chris? Like
with Chris?
Was it uncomfortable at first?
Yeah.
Was it like, ooh,
yeah.
this is,
And we had
this
a bunch
feels
of rise up moments. Like,
Yeah.
They puffed their chest to each other a few times.
yeah, we did. And it was just, but it was because of me.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to take the criticism. I was like, no, I'm right. You're wrong.
Yeah.
And now I see it as he was just loving me.
Yeah.
And that righteous love, just, no, you're screwing up here. You need to fix it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's awesome now because now I know I can go to him. I realized that I was in the wrong and took a self accountability for what I was doing wrong. And
he still hung around for you even when you puffed your chest at him.
yeah.
And I think that's kind of how trust
would
in
God
relationships
leave you?
build. Right. I know. It's so good.
When when you ask God, like, why'd you do this? Why'd you do that? He doesn't ever just leave. He's always right there.
So good.
Even no matter what you do wrong, he's there for you.
So good. Yeah, that I totally agree with you. I'm glad you said that because if the person who is the most special to us, even in their imperfection, is that special, God is the perfect one.
Yeah.
So how much more special is he?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like thank you for bringing that up, Lyle. So what does, so boundaries and then having, that male confidant for you, just, like we had mentioned. And then for both of you, your marriage. So let's talk about that because marriage in addiction, that was very ugly
It was
for you
very
guys.
ugly. Very, very ugly. Yeah.
And so how would you help people navigate, people who are in addiction coming out of it? How would you suggest to them to navigate when things get hard? Because you kind of die to yourself from those old habits.
When we were out at the ministry, anytime that man opened his mouth, Lyle, I would Google it. I would not trust anything.
Really?
I would not trust anything.
Just the other day she did.
But
What was it? You asked.
I don't remember.
It was something silly.
Oh, Labor Day.
Labor Day. And I told her, it's because, everyone's worked and worked for it. And she said, what are you doing? I was like, Googling because you don't trust me or what? She goes, no, I just want to know. I was like, I just told you what.
Yeah. So then how do you guys navigate that?
So
right now it's humor. It's just like,
Deborah, she told me many times, and even to this day, she'll tell me, you need to let your husband lead. You are the wife, and that doesn't mean you get walked on.
Okay,
it doesn't mean
exactly. It doesn't mean you're not strong.
It does
sometimes
not
I have to die to myself to know and admit that she's right.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
Yeah,
sometimes.
like your husband leading the home, like I need you to know.
And especially if you're coming out of addiction, because usually your man is not a good man. Usually your man is a piece of poop, and he done just
communication
rip your life apart.
too.
Yeah.
You guys need to get on the same page.
Yeah.
And
do you both of you do you guys want to build your relationship? So if you want to build that relationship together, you need to work together. A woman needs to realize, and I don't mean this as like a women's activist, but we need to learn our place as the wife. And we need to understand that, and the husbands have to prove it. He had to prove it that he was
capable.
That he was capable of capable of actually leading our family with the best intentions.
And I want to stress making sure that your man leads the home. I'm an extremely strong person and I have a very strong personality. And
yes, me too.
I was made like that. And my husband, he cherishes that, to be very honest with you. So your husband leading the home doesn't mean that you're a doormat.
No.
It just means that your husband leads the home. Anyway. So
which is a huge responsibility for us. There's a lot of weight on our shoulders.
So how do you navigate that? After coming out of that and then navigating that weight, because stress can easily be debilitating when you're coming out of addiction. So how do you navigate being the leader of the home and dealing with, okay, that's a weight,
Yeah, I just, like I said earlier, just giving it to God.
Yeah.
And like the closer I get to God and she gets to God together, that's what builds our marriage.
That diagram, that is real life. When you're just coming, just beginning your life, and you look at that, you're like, oh yeah, that's another picture. Okay, but it's a real life. That thing is actually, it's real. So,
you guys, Lyle and Alesia, they're on Facebook. You guys honestly should look them up because there's just things that it's a joint Facebook. So I don't know if it's Lyle or Elisa posting this stuff, but
You can generally tell.
The verbiage. Listen to the verbiage.
okay. All right. Because a lot of things that you guys post, I'm just like, wow, their perspective. They'll like talk about something they wrote in the Bible and the perspective and what they got from it. I'm always just like, man, that's a word.
Yeah.
That's a word.
Yeah.
Like, that's so good.
Yeah. So we actually have, and sometimes he said it to me twice now. He's like, why don't you get your own face? But I just, even 2.5 years later, I don't think we are actually 100%.
But I think that's so smart and wise to recognize that there's weaknesses and to put boundaries and to also respect each other for being like, okay, I know this is a weakness and I respect you. I'm not mad at you for having to put a boundary up because that's a struggle. I respect you for putting a boundary up and like doing all that. And I just think that is so wise of you. Even people who have not come from a major background like that need to get some wisdom and boundaries for their
absolutely.
marriage and understanding what's not appropriate, what leaves doors open, what leaves gaps.
Even our messenger.
Yeah.
Like we can, every message that comes in, she can see it and it's like nothing's hidden.
Yeah.
So
like things like this are not unique to Lyle and Elisa's story. Things like this, people... I think every marriage should be, and it's not because you're not trusting, it's just because
we have to be transparent to each other. We need to be transparent in order for us. And I would trust my husband with anybody in the room, but do I still feel that weird tinge of like the past in my heart? Absolutely.
So just avoid that whole situation altogether.
Yeah.
Don't even put yourself in the situation.
But I love how you guys do that. And I love how you guys stay transparent with each other. And I don't know. I just love you too. So like with marriage and navigating that now, parenting. So parenting, I know I
don't know what's harder, the marriage or the parenting.
So you guys have 3 kids.
Yeah.
And Bentley's 2. Colin
is, Bentley will be 3 in November.
Okay.
Colin is 6
and Mia's 8. Okay. So they are younger. They went through foster care. And so they're not in foster care anymore. They've been with you guys for 2.5 years or 3 years. 2.5 years. 2.5 because Bentley was. Yeah. Okay. So when let's kind of help people understand, if their kids have come out of foster care, how do you guys help them work through the traumas? How do you work the emotions? There's a new life for you guys, but they still have to come along. You guys got intense learning and stuff. Now they have to catch up.
Teach them. Yeah. So I structure. What's the word?
Scheduling.
Scheduling. Just really a concrete safety net for your kids to know that this is what happens this day, the consequences of, so it was really hard when they first came back to us because we were so guilty. Felt our hearts were just like, what did we do?
You wanted to make up for all that time.
Like parenting out of guilt.
Yes. And so that's actually one of the things that Deborah and Chris teach is you guys, it is a common thing to parent out of guilt. If you are a person that just got a divorce or are getting divorced, a lot of times those parents will end up, not necessarily want to, but they will end up parenting out of guilt. And it just causes a lot of lifelong problems for them. And even the small things like if I say something, even if it is like, let's say, Mia asked me to put on a pair of fake nails for her. And I say, yep, baby, I'll do it for you, but I'm going to clean first, and then I'll do it. And if I break that, that's just going to be a continual thing. So he is really hard on me about it. He's like, if you say something, you need to do it. If there's a rule, it's a rule for a reason. We explain to them that's a rule for a reason.
I try not to let, like when we go to do things, say we go to Silver City, I try not to let the kids know until that day when we're about to leave.
Yeah.
Just because
they've had so much trauma.
Just because, like, say, we're going to go to Silver City Friday. Something comes up, kid gets sick, then they're let down. Then they feel like they can't trust you. Mm-hmm. So I've put it in place to, like, even with her, I'm like, don't let them know anything until the day of. I mean, you never know. Stuff happens all the time, and they've already got some kind of abandonment trust issues already together. So just on that day, we'll do it.
Yeah.
You know, and that way it keeps them like, oh, surprised, and we kind of keep our word, and we don't have to tell them that we're doing it.
Yeah. I think that's kind of a good one.
You know, the other day, my little sister and I went and did something, and my mom watched the two big kids and then my sister's two little ones. So when I went back there to pick the kids up, Colin, and this has been 2.5 years, he looked at me and he said, Mama, I thought you weren't going to. And so I stop and I think to myself, that little boy thinks we're going to, because that's what happened.
Yeah.
He literally got ripped out of our arms by the police officers, and he was 3 at the time.
So how do you have that conversation then? So when Colin said that, what is that? Okay. And what is that conversation like? Help people who need to know how to have that conversation. What did that conversation look like?
I just told them, I said, honey, Mommy and Daddy will never, ever, ever leave you. We will always be in your life. And so they know that Mommy and Daddy were sick and that God rescued us and God put our family back together. Now, Mia knows more because she's 8, and she understands more. But, we just, honey, we love you and we will always be here for you no matter what. And that's why divorce for us is not ever God first, but never, ever, ever, ever.
I think it's important too, just every once in a while, sit down and tell them. Say, hey, we're not ever going to leave you. It's going to be okay. Even if they don't, because you never know if they're ever feeling that or not.
But I think that's so good to remind them when it doesn't need to be reminded.
Because it's happened before. And it's always like, in my mind, it's always in my mind that it's on their mind. Yeah. So I have to, sit down and be like, hey, we're not going to leave you. I love you. We're always going to be here for you. You know that, right? And just kind of constantly, not all the time, but every once in a while, tell them that way they know without even feeling it that they feel secure.
No, I 100%. I think that's a great thing.
Colin, he developed a trauma-induced stutter and behavior problems because of...
Which I think he's coming out of some of it.
Yes.
He's gotten a lot better.
Yes. He was so bad where when we first got them back, he was, hurting the baby, which was a baby at the time. He was hurting the baby. He was breaking things. He was lashing out. And so we just, a lot of work with him, a lot of trusting with him. Because those kids, when you are in that lifestyle, those kids lived every bit of it. And
he was just doing all the things he's seen us do.
Yeah.
And he thought that was normal.
Yeah. But I'm really thankful that you guys say that because anybody who's listening who just deals with that same type of situation, different actions or anything, but same type of situation. Because what I'm hearing you guys say is consistency.
Consistency is key. Yeah.
It's hard sometimes just because they're not, in their mind, they're running back and forth, and it's not all, every attitude is different every day for each kid. So it's being consistent.
But it would be easy for some people, it would be real easy to just be frustrated that that's still some things they have to deal with.
Yeah. Oh, it's still frustrating for us.
But frustrating in the sense of, well, we might as well just give up if it's not going to be the way we want it to be right away. Yeah. But I really am just so...
you have to keep pushing up.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm so impressed by you guys. Because I really am just impressed with you two. Because you keep pushing on.
Yeah.
You don't say, well, his stutter hasn't gone away, so what are we doing wrong? You just keep staying consistent, and you stay the course, and you trust that the Lord is handling it. And I'm just, you guys, I just...
Well, we found what also induces his stutter, causes him to stutter more.
Which when stressful my mom was environments. There, he went down.
Because it's so much chaotic stuff, no schedule, no routine.
And so as soon as that was gone, it got bad again.
Yeah.
And now, she's been out for about 4 or 5 months now. And for about 5. Anyway, so we've instantly, we got them right back on. This is how it is. And it's again, so.
You guys, I know I said this already, but I just love you guys. There's just, I think strength, it's always good to have strength, but when it's easy to have strength, But when it's hard to have strength and you still have strength, that's what's impressive.
Yes.
That's where people learn from people.
One of my favorite songs is Reason to Praise. And when everything's fallen out, when everything is just awful, we're still going to praise God. And we're still going to know that he has he has a plan for us, and we know it's going to be good. So just stick to
I think it's
and just keep
important
going.
too, to not just when things are bad, but when things are good, that we develop a habit of talking to him even when things are good. So when things get bad, you have more of a, an expectancy that, hey, you're going to get me through this.
Yeah. Being proactive instead of reactive.
Yeah.
And okay. So, with parenting and marriage and then navigating all of this, so how do you work through the moments where your flesh, and when I say flesh, I've said this kind of before, when I say flesh, it just means who you are in imperfection, Being
human.
Yeah, just being human. And so to die to your flesh when your mind wants to go back to the things that soothed you before.
Yeah.
How do you navigate that? Like, help people understand what do they need to be doing to die to the desire?
Yeah.
I think getting in the Word of God. That's one of the biggest things, because when
creating new habits.
Yeah. When you develop these little ruts in your brain.
Oh, I was literally thinking the same thing. I love you.
You develop these ruts in your brain, from all this toxic stuff you did back in that lifestyle. So you have to create new pathways. And that's really important, because it's not going to be right away. I mean, you have to work at it. You have to continuously, keep a good schedule, and it's tough. But I think that's really important, staying on the Word of God and knowing His truth and refilling your mind with truth instead of those lies.
Yeah. So kind of in the moment, like if somebody's like, I need whatever soothed
I just want to
before.
smoke a cigarette right now.
Yeah.
No. You know what? I'm going to go try something different. I'm going to walk, or I'm going to do the dishes, or I'm going to call a friend, or do something different.
Joe McKinney,
moment.
he's a trauma therapist, and he actually talks about exactly what you were talking about, how there can be new pathways made, and exactly what you just said, but it takes every time the feeling or the thought comes up, it takes holding that thought captive. Yeah, holding it captive and putting a new thing in place.
Yes.
But that takes action.
Yes.
And sometimes the action is hard because we're fighting our flesh.
Yes.
And so it takes that being obedient to the truth, which is, I would, like you said, go into the Word, speaking the truth in our head, but then in action. Okay, so I want to do a cigarette, but I'm going
to get high.
Or finding your triggers.
Yeah.
Finding them and then recognizing what they are so you can avoid them
this
altogether.
man here, he is big on that.
Yeah.
He is like, whatever is going to trigger me, I'm staying a mile away from it. Yeah.
But you also, like, when you form the new pathway, I think Joe says something like you have to put what you do in place in that moment has to be something like positive.
Yeah.
Yes.
So like when you want to go get high, go for a walk.
Yeah.
Go lift weights.
Something that releases dopamine other than the high that you're getting.
But that is positive. And the
natural.
more you do that, which you guys, I can't really attest to this. You guys can attest. Doing that is hard because you have some extremely big, I don't even know if it's an urge that big anymore for you guys, but at one point, I'm sure.
We did. It was, we had to fight it. But even now, we don't. We don't. It's not even.
Because the more you walk it out, the easier it gets.
It does. It does. Now it's not a cakewalk by all means, but
it's nowhere where it was.
Every now and again, I'll think about it. And then there's been times where I'll be laying in bed and I'll be thinking something, and then that thought will lead to another thought, and then that thought will lead to another thought. And it just keeps. But I've had the feeling of actually putting a needle in my arm, and that through my body, and I'm like, nope, that is not happening. And I'll have to break that thought right away, and because it has happened. But now, is that my first thought? When something happens and I'm like, I want to get high, that hardly ever pops in our head anymore.
Yeah, so, I love that.
And all that comes with time.
Yeah.
And work and having tools to fight those thoughts. And
community, people.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Yep.
Most definitely.
Yeah. Well, we're going to kind of finish up, but I just want to tell you guys how much I appreciate you and how in your journey, whoever is listening, you can have a journey that you get through just like they did and do just like they're doing and teaching other people how to walk that journey.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be just, well, I'm free from addiction. I guess this is no, you can use what the enemy wanted to ruin you, and you can use it to help other people walk out the life that they were meant to live. And that's exactly what Lyle and Alesia are doing. And I just love it. And I was so thankful that they came on and shared from such a vulnerable place. I mean, they keep it real, y'all. They keep it real. And I love it because the more real we are, the more people are able to see how real God is.
Yeah.
And so that is, I just appreciate you guys. I have so much respect for you guys. I love you guys. Like you guys are just, and your kids, I know your kids. I love your kids. And we talked about how they're kind of learning through some trauma, but they're still really good kids.
Yeah.
And they're
See,
still,
to us, I think sometimes that they're worse than what I really think they are,
Yeah.
you know, but I'm the parent and
yeah.
So like I was messaging you last night and I was like,
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes they can be stinkers, but that's just, I think the enemy's sneaking up in my head saying kids aren't that good. They're still dealing with all this. And but they're really good kids.
They are. Yeah. They're so good. So anyway, thanks guys for coming on. And I hope you all are able to be encouraged. I hope you guys listen to the things that they said. And if you are going through addiction right now, what would you guys say to somebody who is in addiction and has not made the step to get help yet?
I was literally take that step.
Yeah.
So there's a beautiful life out there.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be stuck in a horrible, dark life. There is a beautiful life out there.
What would you say?
I would just say that it may be scary, you know, trying to reach out to somebody that you don't know if they're going to help you or not. That was the biggest thing for me is sometimes I didn't feel like I was worthy of being helped. So it's just reach out regardless because you never know. I mean, there's so many good people out there in this world that they'll get you to somebody that will help you. And just don't be scared.
Yeah, I love that.